the Cinescape podcast, where we're changing the landscape of movie and TV news and reviews. Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come. Infinity is here, as are we. We are going to be strictly reviewing Avengers Infinity War today. That is the only topic on today's docket. Let me introduce our panel of Avengers here. I should have thought of names before.
Yeah, you should have thought of names.
We got Thunderbolt Bill.
We have like 70 names for him.
Yeah, Bill's got a lot.
Not appropriate for
What's the one hero? It's Beta Ray Bill.
There you go.
Why wouldn't you have just gone with that?
Bill.
Why wouldn't you have just
Beta Ray
gone with
Bill.
that? Yeah.
We got Captain Mike Merca and Pat.
Yeah, Pat.
Hey,
Like the
Pat.
guy in the Deadpool 2 trailer. Who's
Yeah,
like
there you go.
skydiving out.
Yeah. All right, you're in.
And I am, of course, Sean Harrigan. Like I said, we are going to be reviewing in full spoiler effect Avengers Infinity War today. So if you are watching us currently on Facebook Live, you may want to come back to us when you've seen the movie.
Where's our fifth member?
Yeah, we are awaiting our fifth vendor, who is right in. Come on in. We have...
You got some music to cue for him since he's like making this, late grandiose entrance?
Sure, yeah, because he's coming in late, we're going to get to this. We have Mr. Michael Reyes of CinemaBlend.com also joining in on the fracas as he is going to get himself settled in. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you very much.
That was almost another backstage attack. These happen pretty common.
Yeah, hopefully we don't get any more of that. So, like I said, we're going to get into our Infinity War spoiler discussion today. So, like I said, if you have not checked out the movie yet, come back, download the podcast of this, or check the video out on YouTube after you have seen it. We are not going to be held responsible for any of the spoilers that we're going to be talking about because we are giving you fair warning. Spoiler alert is up. Everybody good?
Good.
Ready?
Great.
Ready?
Grand.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Does that mean I have to leave the room now?
Jamie, I hope.
No, I haven't seen it, unfortunately. but I'm sorry.
Close your eyes the whole time.
You
so
should
can
know
see the
by
movie.
now
I
that
should, yes.
coming into these shows, we're probably going to be talking about something that you want to see or you're going to see, and we're going to just ruin that for you.
You're either going to ruin it or you're going to make me want to see it even more.
Yeah,
so we'll have to wait and see how this goes.
I think by the end of the discussion, you'll want to go see it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I've seen it twice, and I want to see it again.
As long as the clapping guy is in the same theater you are.
yeah,
that was in with
we're
us. That's why I
gonna
was
not
clapping.
only are we gonna get into our
We
our
reviewing the
review.
crowd too.
Yeah, we're gonna review some of the shenanigans going on in the in the theater along with us. So
0 out
That's
of
what it
10.
was. That's how annoying it was. Like, just random claps at the dumbest shit.
yes,
but
exactly.
go ahead,
That's
Joe.
what
It's a
it
slow
was.
clap guy effect.
It was
It's
fucking
getting worse and worse to see a movie on opening night.
I said that to you afterwards. I was like, Mike, this is the reason why I can't enjoy opening night for these movies anymore. It used to be, go back, to the latter half of the 10-year drop, and it was excitement, right? We were the only ones who knew to go on Thursdays, sometimes a Wednesday, and catch these movies ahead of the curve. Now everybody's going ahead of the curve, and
Everybody's
Back when it was still
doing
only
it.
midnight screenings.
huh?
Back when it was still only midnight screenings.
Right.
Yeah, we might have to start doing that.
And I, there are some people that I still believe that that's the way to go see it, because when I was looking on Fandango, even for Friday night to see what the crowds were looking like, all the midnight showings were sold out. So obviously people still want to go to that, and that might be the trend that we have to go back to is midnight viewing.
No way I'm staying awake for that.
Yeah, because
Studios are now doing
you're
it.
old as
I'm 35 years old.
We're
God damn
only
it!
getting older as this universe keeps.
I gotta
going.
work tomorrow.
I'll stay with
Do the thing, Tony. Do the thing and let me go home.
All right. Well, as we are going to get into the review, it's going to be a little bit of a roundtable. I have discussion topics on my laptop here. Bill, you have them as well. So we're going to pose some questions, and we're going to throw it out to each of you. And if you've taken any of your own notes or have anything that you want to bring up along the way, guys, feel free to. And we're going to get into the meat of things.
We'll randomly clap inappropriately.
Yes. So really quickly, at every
That's exactly
every
how
2 minutes of this movie in our theater, there was a guy off to our right who would just just
Oh,
when the
God.
theater's dead silent, he's clapping at every stupid little thing.
Yeah.
I got pissed off at one point. I'm like, all right, claps. That guy was pissing me off.
It was
like it
awful.
like we were just saying about the theater etiquette and stuff. Like it's unnerving and
He
annoying.
clapped every 10 minutes.
Oh my god, it was more than that. It had to
Every
have been
10
more than
minutes.
that. It was ridiculous. And then you had Nerdgasm Lady behind us somewhere too.
Yeah, she-
But other than that, and mine and Mike's seats didn't work and recline properly, which is killing my neck too.
My back hurt after that.
But other than that,
I felt great.
it was good. I saw it on Tuesday as well, so I had a better screening day that day. But let's go around quickly and just get into just our general impressions of the movie without getting into anything specific. How did you feel? Going into it, seeing it, and then walking out. Mr. Reyes, I'm going to start with you. We'll go around.
All right, so going into it, I was trying to keep level hype because sometimes you get to a movie that's hyped this well.
Yeah, you
this
didn't want to be let
often.
down.
That's what happened with The
Exactly.
Last Jedi for me.
Yeah.
We'll have that discussion another day. Anyway,
It sounds like you like the
Last Jedi was amazing.
Oh,
Get the hell out of here.
Back to
Get
Infinity War,
Leave.
which was similarly amazing.
Don't bullshit me.
But yeah, going in this is like, all right, I understand that they want to hype this to a certain level. I just want to keep it minimum. And then
Minimum.
minimum. So by the time I walked out of it, I was thoroughly, enjoyed it. But what a fucking gut punch.
It sure was.
Oh my, like even just watching those credits, it's laid out like a funeral program. And just sitting there, like, for 2/3 of this movie, it is definitely action. It's warm up. It felt like an Avengers movie again, which is what Age of Ultron did not give me. This felt like Avengers again, right to Alan Silvestri doing the music. You got that sting in the beginning, the perfect, cold open. And then by the time that third act hits, everything just, there's consequences and there's a 20-pound weight on your chest.
Yeah, definitely. At both screenings that I went to, I mean, at those, especially the third act, my heart's still, going a mile a minute there as all those events are unfolding. Pat, what were your impressions?
Well, you know me. I was ripping you guys all week. I wanted to go in as clean.
Yeah, Pat
as,
wouldn't let me
yeah,
even
as
tell him if
clean-
I enjoyed the movie or
yeah,
not.
as clean as possible. Like I didn't want to see any, reactions or anything. I wanted to go in even keel. Like, all right, this was the end game for the 10 years of build up that they had. And I didn't want to have any preconceived notions or anything like that because the last handful of Marvel movies really, I didn't like them. I mean, as I've
Underimpressed?
said, yeah, all the stupid humor. I didn't
Besides
have the
Black
feeling.
Panther.
Yeah, Black Panther I thought was solid, but I didn't have the feeling that this movie would have that. But I still just didn't want to set my expectations. So my end game was, it met my expectations. Very few minor gripes, but
Which
overall,
we'll certainly get into everybody's
yeah, overall,
gripes later.
the quick answer. I mean, without going too much into it, overall, it did meet my expectations. I just think the Russo brothers are really perfect for this whole. Marvel franchise as a whole. Like, I think they've done the best movies in the whole cinematic universe.
Preparation
so far,
H
so.
does feel good on the whole.
Christ. Yeah, but good for me. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Gonna throw it over to the champ, Mike Chrisman. What'd you think?
Definitely met, maybe exceeded my expectations. I mean, it's kind of hard to say because you really got to see what happens next. I'm a big fan of the comics, right? So, reading, and it's been a while since I read it. I wanted to read it before going into this again. I haven't read it in, I think, like a year and a half, 2 years. But, the Russos do a really good job of just creating that overwhelming sensation for the heroes. And no other director in the MCU has really been able to tackle it quite the way they have. So that's what I enjoyed the most about it. So my expectations were met, maybe succeeded solely based on that. The Russos they do a great job of just, like, holy shit, the heroes are really screwed right now. I don't know how the hell they're going to get out of this. And no other director, to me, can really just, they can't drive that the way the Russos do. But I loved it. I was a big fan of it, and I can't wait to see what happens next. Especially, considering what happened, like, obviously, with the comics, they're all lying there in front of Thanos more graphically, but, we'll see what happens. But I was a big fan of it.
Yeah. Later on in this review, I definitely want to delve into the the comic versus the movie conversation. But Bill, what'd you think?
This movie all around. Yeah, I have to agree with the panel here as far as, with a lot has been said. Obviously, we got to give credit to the Russo brothers. I think they took a very big task and completed it well above and beyond. To take all these characters who have been through this cinematic universe and each all have their own flavor to them, and then to bring them all together, create their own their own level of involvement in this big plot, and to make sure that I think everyone at the same time came out on top, feeling like there was no competition, is what I mean. Like every character, no one had either less or more importance in the storyline, which is great for the overall theme. And at the same time, this almost feels like, with the post-credits scene, feels like Iron Man, the first Iron Man, where the scene that takes place just kind of lets you know that there's a beginning ahead, right? Like same thing with Iron Man 1 when Nick Fury came in there and basically introduced the Avengers, right? Like you kind of knew, like, all right, game on. This shit's gonna go on now for a long haul, and I think now like that post-credit scenes is setting the tone for now the back half of this movie adventure, and we get a taste of what's gonna come with Captain Marvel. We already know that. I think with some of the players we didn't see will probably take some prominence in the next movie, but overall, yeah, this movie was exceedingly done well. And it made it feel like it wasn't like a comic book movie that we were used to seeing over the last few runs. When I mean like by Thor Ragnarok and Guardians 2. Yeah.
We're definitely gonna touch on the use of humor. At a different point.
Good humor.
But yeah, just really quick, I echo all the same sentiments that you guys have put out there. If you read my review that's up on the Cinescape.com, you'll know everything that I loved and didn't like so much about that. But you can go over and check that review out after you're done if you want even more coverage of this great movie. But let's get into some of the the plots of this movie, with every character that was in there doing so many different things in so many different places. There's a lot of things going on. So let's get into some of these. Mainly Thanos' quest. Obviously
Thanos.
His goal is to collect the 6 Infinity Gems to get to purge the universe of half of all of its life. Pat,
the ultimate half off sale.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
Wow. So Pat, how do you think his heist was pulled off in a way that was satisfying to you?
I thought it was good. I just would like to have seen the destruction, I believe, of Xandar. Is that where?
Yeah, I put that.
I thought that was kind of a big miss there. I mean, at least you don't have to show it in depth, but at least show him walking away.
Yeah,
with like a fallen city or something in the background, since that was such a huge part of the whole saga. Like, all right, at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 1, they left one of the gems there.
Right.
So for that to just not
Novacore
be
had it.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it was like a 2.5-hour runtime, but I mean, for that not to be shown, even in the slightest way, it was kind of a miss for me. But everything else, I think, pretty much hit it on the head. Is what you expected. He was a big bad. You felt every time he was on screen, you felt the presence. You felt some kind of conflict, and the heroes weren't always in a good place. And I really thought that that's what a lot of the movies were lacking over the course of the years, and they just hit it on the head with him here. So
yeah, you got to think of that. It's really good news going forward that with Thanos and Killmonger, the last couple of villains have been way better than any other villain that we've pretty much had. No, and he
Thanos didn't have
to.
any jokes and shit.
I think the only like semi-funny thing was the very beginning where he's talking to Loki and he's, you know, you need a guide for Earth. He's like, what, for someone who failed or something, you know, whatever.
And that was just a great line.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, he wasn't trying to be a smartass or anything, but it, you know, that was the only lighthearted thing that he had to say. Michael, as you know, we're going along Thanos' quest here. You know, did he, with everything that he did he do it in a way that felt, you know, good for you? Did he? You know,
good.
How did you feel about his quest?
Did it feel good to see him take those stones?
Did you want him to succeed? Because I felt myself, you know, wanting him to accomplish his goal.
I honestly feel like he is one of the most human villains, to the point where he's a perfect example of the villain that sees himself as the hero.
Right.
He isn't lusting for power. He isn't just some sort of foppish, cartoonish presence that's just sort of over the top. He's just this guy that's big in stature and big in ability.
Right.
So when he's like being hyped up as this villain above villains, you believe it. But at the same time, you really do watch him agonize over certain parts of his quest, and ultimately his rationale is laid out in such a way that it's like, well, to be fair, he's not, like he said, it's not discriminatory. It's not, I'm doing this to get at anyone. It's just the universe needs balance.
It's justified at times, and that's the part that, you know, makes you root for him almost. Like you're saying, you're not exactly wrong, but, you know, at the same time, like, I could see, like, you know, you want to make things better, right? And, like, who doesn't want to...
Take this example as, you know, relaying it to Thanos' quest. How many times have you been stuck in traffic on your way home from work or going somewhere or whatever it is? God, I just wish everybody would disappear so I can get the hell home. Right?
I wish just half its cars were not driving in front of me.
My wife texted me that the other day. It took her like 2 hours to get to work. She's like, I just wish everybody would die. She's pregnant and shit, you know?
Well, see, that's the thing about it. The thing is, his methods may not always be the cleanest. The people that he crosses are people that we obviously care for and know. But if you put someone else in, if you put like Tony Stark or maybe even Peter Quill in that situation, and they're doing that to save people, you don't really have that much of a problem.
Yeah, it's definitely a moral conundrum here.
Peter Quill will be dick joking the whole time.
Oh, can we dedicate like a half an hour to Peter Quill in this movie? Because I got words.
He had a rough go of it at certain points.
To tack on to the human element of him, and I do agree. So one thing missing from his character development, and what I would have loved, just because we're touching on that human element, is the fact that the guy, like in the comic, the guy's just completely in love with the Mistress Death. You know what I mean? So it's almost like he's just a slave. Like, she's giving him direction, right? At the end of the day, like, she's just telling him, like, she's directing him on, like, you know, bring me a defeated planet. You know what I mean? Bring me a conquered universe. Bring that to me. Like, he's a slave to that.
Right.
You know, and the other human element is how easily manipulated he is, you know. So, you know, you have the Mephisto. Obviously, in the comic, it was Mephisto. I really thought that in this movie, Loki would assume that role as the manipulator, the voice on the other side of his ear, telling him what to do, how to do it, and the why behind it, ultimately to deceive him, right? Because that's what ends up happening in the comic. But I like that aspect, the human element. I mean, Thanos, at the end of the day, he does have a human element to him. They didn't bring part of that in his character development out in this movie. I guess they wanted to make Thanos seem more of a supreme being and not someone that is capable of being manipulated in such a way. But nonetheless, I do love that, you know, just to touch on you, Mike, on your statement, Michael, that
just to touch you, Mike.
Yeah, that human element.
Let's all touch Josh Brolin.
He's not just this.
I got a bad feeling about this.
He's not just this maniacal titan with zero sense of purpose. There's clearly a reason behind what he's doing and why he's doing it, and I love that part of it. I love the direction he had in doing what he was doing. And obviously, he was way too overwhelming for everybody trying to stop him.
Yeah,
definitely.
And you know, just to close out the Thanos quest, I gotta say the CGI for Josh Brolin and Thanos was very on point because
I thought it was perfect.
Because I can't say, another time recently, whether if it's Marvel or just, CGI in general, where I'm looking at the CGI being on the screen and the read of emotion that I could take in. Times like when I'm looking at his character and I could see in the eyes, I'm like, that's Josh Brolin, of course, but it made me see beyond just computer animation. I don't know about anybody else, if we could all agree on that, but
totally.
I just thought that, I didn't lose anything with him being done up like that.
Yeah, he wasn't Steppenwolf.
Take the scene with take the scene where with the sacrifice of Gamora for the gem. That was
a spoiler.
That was a very that was a very powerful scene there where you can see the humanity in the face.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the beauty of the motion capture now. It's not like the performance is done completely by computer. The technology's kind of caught up where you can do a motion capture performance and then put the technology on top of that. So, yeah, to Bill's point, I agree. I mean, it was good, and it wasn't distracting to, for him as a character.
Yeah,
so
giant, muscular, purple gentleman.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and to that effect, they also had Terry Notary, who's worked on all the Apes movies with Andy Serkis. He was the mocap consultant, and also played. I think he played Corvus. I think he was Corvus's body. I think it was his. I forget which one he was, but he was one of the three Black Order characters, which were also pretty good. At least two of the three were really good standouts. Because Carrie Coon as Proxima Midnight was also pretty cool.
And, with her inclusion, obviously, if you know Carrie Coon being a part of The Leftovers, so all the characters disappearing in this movie was a very nice callback
Avengers
to The Leftovers,
Rapture.
which is really cool. We're going to get more into the Black Order in a little bit, but Bill, what's up next on the docket here?
So, Pat, I'm going to shoot this over to you.
Okay.
So the death of the Asgardians.
Right off the bat of the movie.
Yeah. What do you,
F them.
Okay.
But no, go on.
No, I was just going to ask how you think that they handled that transition from Ragnarok to the beginning of Infinity War, and do you feel like, they kind of just literally stepped over the whole fact that, Asgard just got blown up by a chick, and now, basically the remaining Asgardians are now, dead.
What I do love about the movie is that it looked to correct a few of Ragnarok's mistakes. Like his eye patch, for example, stupid.
Should have never happened.
Yeah. So the Russos made a point to correct that dumb mistake that was made in Thor Ragnarok. Here's an eye. All right, whatever. Cool. Put that in. And then I guess maybe the part of him losing his hammer or not having it for a while. I did know that was a comic arc too, but I mean, should that have happened then and there, Ragnarok? Who knows? It caused him to maybe spend a little more time on that here to get his new weapon. But as far as to answer your question, yeah, I thought that was good. Again, a slightly missed opportunity because you didn't actually see it happen as it unfolded, kind of with how Xandar was. You kind of just assumed, showing up. I mean, no one there might be people who didn't see the end of Thor Ragnarok and like, well, how did this happen? Like, what is this? So I thought a little more explanation or showing what actually happened of like Thanos attacking the ship and then getting on the ship.
Yeah, we didn't get any of the other
could have worked better
Ragnarok characters like Valkyrie or Korg or any of those.
Because they suck.
Who cares? Yeah, we got Heimdall.
Heimdall's dead. And then killing Loki right at the onset of the movie. I mean, I think I wrote it in my review. Like that should have set the tone for everybody in that theater, knowing that shit's going to hit the fan and it's not going to be all sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah, but just to build one quick point, I did like how Thor acknowledged that he lost everything later on in the movie, and then he was now driven.
And Thanos did as well.
Thank you, little rabbit.
And he got his balls back.
He was the most improved Avenger.
Oh yeah, he got his balls back. I don't mean to jump ahead. I know you want to probably do that, but he basically got his balls back in this movie, and he instead of being the bro that he was in Ragnarok. So I thought it was
like he was in Point
We
Break.
were talking outside the studio about a possible reboot of every Thor movie with the Russo brothers doing it because they actually found a way to figure the character out.
Every Marvel movie
every single Marvel movie.
Just
Although
give it to
I still like Ragnarok. I liked it.
Get out of the goddamn room.
Not a top 5.
It was a spoof.
Not a top 5.
not even a top 10.
Not to mention, when you go through every other Thor movie,
I liked Austin Powers too, but I wouldn't put, I wouldn't put that in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
True. Can we at least agree that Winter Soldier is the best, if not a top 5?
Oh yeah, without question, Russo brothers.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Yeah, oh yeah.
Bill
Who would've
thinks
thought
the Civil War stinks, though, so don't mention
We're not
that.
going to get into that
Bill.
right now.
Who would have thought
Down
the
on
guys
his
that
list.
directed you, me, and Dupree would be directing the best Marvel movies
Yeah,
ever?
true. So.
All right, another one of the biggest arcs of the movie involved Vision, his Mind Stone,
Viz. Hey,
and
Viz.
Viz.
Hey, Viz.
Champ, how did you feel that Vision's story arc went? Talking about his Mind Stone, his relationship with Wanda, and then his ultimate death.
Oh,
towards the end of the
Wanda,
movie.
you came and you saw me.
I
Stay in bed, Viz.
I'm glad that they.
Let's just stay in
I'm
bed,
glad that they
Viz.
didn't like they honed in on the relationship between him and Scarlet Witch, but they didn't overdo it. I thought it was just enough necessity there.
Viz.
I was complete like when it
colors
comes to,
his dick.
Look, when it comes to the stone, when it comes to him having a mind gem, it created a good arc to kind of introduce us to Corvus and Proxima, and see what they're capable of. I love that introduction, how they just kind of went right after them as they were trying to have, a moment of realness of like, what do we do next? So I like that arc there. It was necessary to kind of introduce them in a very powerful way, the two villains.
Oh no, Viz.
As far as Vision as a whole, I gotta tell you, I mean, the Russos, I guess, they had to do it the way they did it, but we've seen a decline in Vision's character since Age of Ultron. I mean,
Agreed.
So at this point, I don't know how necessary it was to keep Vision as a strong character because there's been a steady regression since Age of Ultron. I mean,
I think he's just so overpowered that it's hard to have him in there, which is probably one of the biggest reasons you didn't see the Hulk.
He's
in this
Viz
movie.
now. He's not Vision.
Well, that made me scared.
He's Paul
Call
Bettany.
me Viz.
He's Viz. He's the Paul Blart of the MCU right now.
Again, Peter Quill.
I
Yeah,
thought I
Peter
saw
Quill's
him on a
Paul Blart.
Segway.
I agree with what Mike's saying, though. Like, yeah, he definitely was a bitch in this, which was a little disappointing. I would like to see him be more
I
formidable.
think I texted this to you the other
just
day.
Viz.
It's
I mean, he was
the power of the pussy. That's what it is.
Yeah, he got soft.
Putting the
he
pussy
was
on a pedestal.
basically, I mean, he was basically like, I mean, he was like Professor X in Days of Future Past, where he's almost just kind of like,
Not using his
being
power.
yeah, he was just like a body. He was just a body. He was meaningful in the sense of the direction of the movie, but I mean, what are you getting out of him? You know what I mean?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. He kind of got like stabbed and took him like
He got
a month to
He
heal.
just got
like,
destroyed in this movie.
The guy's a synthezoid. He should be able to heal right away.
why
Well,
can't he
right
be like
on the
that?
first one, he said that Corvus's staff, he wasn't able to phase through it, and he doesn't know why that happened, and it shouldn't have been able to happen.
'Cause
So
he's Viz.
whatever compound that that staff is made of, it totally screwed him up for the rest of the movie. I mean, how many times did he get stabbed through
It's
that
coated
movie?
in
You know what?
female sex organ.
Corvus is a badass. You know what I mean? So
sorry.
to see Vision get a little overwhelmed there kind of speaks more to. I think we want to immediately just go after Vision about how weak he was in that movie, but we should look at it the other way. How overpowering some of the
Right.
villains were.
Absolutely.
So.
And we're going to get into that, too. And I do want to be mindful of the clock here, so we are going to try and fire drill through some of these
Yeah.
topics, guys.
got mugged.
So let's keep it moving here. Mike. Reyes.
My name should
What-
always be
It's
said.
a waste of 5 seconds.
Yeah, he says be mindful of the clock, and he does that shit.
So, Mike, now what were your thoughts on the Wakanda battle? You know, everything taking place on the Wakanda home field. How basically our final showdown took place on the field there.
Well, first of all, I thought that by that point, that's when the movie really fires up.
Yeah.
Because in essence, that's kind of the beginning of the second act when you put both movies together.
Right.
But as far as this movie goes, like that was really where everything started to kick in.
Yeah.
But a funny thing I noticed is It almost feels like a remake of the Gungan battle from episode 1, except done right.
Oh, no.
With better characters, because you have the energy shield, all those rolling hills, troop carriers with like all those mindless beasts coming out. It's like, okay, you showed us what this would have looked like in competent hands.
Oh, no. You referenced The Last Jedi in episode 1 in our discussion today, and those are two sins of Star Wars.
Marvel is a new Star Wars.
I mean, I love Star Wars. I'm just messing with you.
So we will not be going back to Mike again for any answers here. So moving on, let's bring up character absences. All right, we got Hawkeye, Ant-Man, Cork, Valkyrie, some
Alfred.
others.
Cork. That's a typo.
So, Chrisman, why don't you, take us home with the character absences, because I'm sure you got a lot to say about who
I
should
have
and shouldn't.
not a lot to say
Then
about
Sean
character.
Harrigan.
No, hold on.
No Gungans.
Everyone you just mentioned had zero reason to be in this movie.
No
They're-
Gangnam Style references about.
What would Ant-Man do in this movie? Like, what would he do? What would Hawkeye do?
Exactly,
You know.
yeah.
So
Shoot stuff.
yeah, I mean,
I'll-
but the fact that Black Widow was in the movie was annoying.
so let
'Cause
me
what would she do? And the fact that she got over on Proxima Midnight.
Yeah,
at one
I
point
was
in time,
sitting
I mean, are you
next to
kidding
Mike.
me?
That was a handicap.
I was
match.
sitting next to Mike during this, and
it must
the
have been
whole
great.
battle with Proxima, like he was getting all pissed off.
Fuck, I missed that.
Like every time something that was going on, like he didn't approve of, I could like hear him like talking under his breath about it, and it was hilarious.
So let me bring this up as far as a character absence. So, how did you guys feel about Hulk really being absent from this movie?
It was one of the worst parts of the
And
movie.
Lame.
for
Very
me, we Hulk is kind of rewritten over the last few movies as far as he doesn't just get angry anymore to become Hulk. To now that he's got this inner duality with Hulk, and they're both separate entities.
I heard
now,
there's a reason for that. I don't mean to cut off. I just want to I heard there's a reason for that, but I'll finish after your point. Good.
So now to just the fact that he now can't get Hulk to come out anymore.
Yeah, the reason for
Yeah,
that,
Hulk ED.
Yeah, I read. I was curious about that too after the movie. I was like, what the hell? I mean, why isn't he Hulkbuster and not be Hulk? Apparently, I read a story that it was an interview that was done 2 or 3 years ago when Mark Ruffalo came on, and him and Feige. This music's ridiculous.
It's the Hulk walking away music.
Yeah, and him and Feige were talking about a solo Hulk movie, and that's what they really wanted to do. But now that plan kind of got diverted, so what he wanted to do was kind of base what they were going to put in that movie into 3 phases. The first phase happened in Thor Ragnarok with the Planet Hulk stuff. This was apparently phase 2. That's going to make sense to come to a
Where he
head
just gets
in
his
the next
ass kicked
yeah,
by
in
Thanos
like the
and
next
scared to come out the rest of the movie.
it's like this weird character arc
He
that
was,
he's going
man.
through for 3 movies instead of doing an individual Hulk movie. I mean,
Right.
although I agree that it was kind of dumb, but this is apparently
Like you
having
wanted to
do
just
with-
see him Hulkbuster
So,
out of the
yeah.
Hulkbuster,
This
right?
is this is a prelude to him
This is
having
basically-
redemption in the next
This
movie.
Real
is
quick, if
basically
you're
phase
a-
2 of his 3 character
if
arc,
you're a
whatever the
fan
hell.
of the Funko Pop line,
Sean has 7,000 in his
yeah,
house.
sponsored by Alternate Dimension Toys in Newtown, PA. I might add this. The show is sponsored by. There is a pop of the Hulkbuster armor with the Hulk actually popping out of the armor. I think I saw it on Instagram. Like the captions, like, "We've been told this doesn't happen in the movie, so no spoilers." I mean, it looks really cool though. But I mean,
I love doing that
I
with toy
expected something like that to happen, like Bill was saying, or even that Banner and the Hulk would completely be split apart somehow, to where
Right.
they are both totally
like a
separate
Superman,
physical
like
entities.
in Superman 3
That was a
when he's
rumor I
like
heard,
fighting
too.
each other.
Yeah,
I heard a
because
rumor that Dr.
fighting
Strange
against
and Superman-
you look at the trailers and everything, and you see Hulk running alongside Cap and Widow and Falcon, all through the jungles of Wakanda, and you come to find that it was cut out.
But we
and
all
moved
know
all
by
together.
now
I was
that
gonna say,
the
that
trailers
scene
are not
wasn't in
true.
there.
Yeah, definitely wasn't in there. So, Mike, what you said with Hawkeye and Ant-Man, they didn't need to be there. A lot of
There's people that should be in a movie that aren't in a movie.
a lot of talk. Well, we'll get to that too. A lot of talk was, Ant-Man, or Hawkeye's not shown in these posters. Is he going to show up? He's supposed to be, the Ronin character now. What's going on? And he just wasn't
I
there.
guess the next one,
It got
yeah.
dispelled away by
Yeah.
Widow at some point that they were both dealing with their families or on house arrest. From
Yeah,
those-
they were on house
the
arrest.
Sokovia Accords and shit like that. So, what are they really going to have accomplished in that movie? So, wasn't really too much of a big loss there.
I wonder if his family gets raptured, and that's
Maybe.
why he comes back in
Probably.
the next one.
That'd be hilarious if he got raptured too, and he just doesn't show up in that one either. Because nobody gives a shit about Hawkeye.
He already ruined that part. He already ruined that rumor because he had all the photos. It's like, oh, Avengers 4, I'm filming.
I hope Spider-Man's classmates got raptured.
Yeah, seriously, they all suck.
Fuck you, Ned.
All right, well, speaking of rapturing, let's get into the death toll in this movie. We had already previously mentioned Gamora gets knocked off, literally knocked off the...
Not knocked up, right?
Not knocked
Okay.
up, knocked off.
Okay.
The proverbial cliff. As Thanos is going after the Soul Stone, he has to sacrifice her to... in order to get the Soul Stone, he throws her off a cliff. She's dead. Vision gets the Mind Stone ripped out of his head by Thanos. He's dead. But when
His heads are falling off.
but when Thanos finally assembles the gauntlet completely, and you have the snap of the fingers.
Should have went for the head.
Yeah, he should have. Yeah, that was a great moment.
Fucked up in the head, nah.
The dude that yelled out the F word when that happened in the movie.
Yeah, people start disintegrating right before your
That was
eyes.
funny.
Heroes and civilians alike. I think there was only, I want to say there was only 7 heroes left by the end of the
And
movie.
they say that a hero could save us.
It was basically the original Avengers.
Yeah, it was the original 4
with Rocket.
Widow, Rocket,
and
Nebula. Nebula's not a hero,
Yeah,
obviously.
and
Nebula
Black
doesn't really
Panther's
count.
like first
Nah,
in charge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Chick from The Walking Dead.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't know if Ant-Man's around. We don't know if the Wasp is around. We don't know if Hawkeye's
He probably got
around.
real small and dodged it somehow.
Maybe.
Or something.
Just real quick, with Ant-Man and the Wasp coming out in July, supposedly that movie takes place before the events of Infinity War, so
Correct.
something has to happen during that movie where it tells why he's not
He's probably in that weird
the
zone.
quantum realm or whatever
Yeah.
they're calling it. But we're seeing all these heroes disintegrate into ash, whether it's Bucky, T'Challa, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange,
Falcon.
Falcon. Rhodey's still left over too.
Yeah.
He's the other one. So everybody's going. Yeah. If you've read the comic arcs, you know they're not really gone, but as you're seeing,
comic.
as you're seeing that these events unfold on screen, Pat. How did it really hit your heartstrings? seeing them
It was expected.
gone?
It wasn't really a surprise to me. It's something I hoped to see. I mean, I know a lot of people probably weren't aware of the comic storyline, so I was looking at comments and stuff. Like, people were like really upset. Like, how could you do this? How could you kill off Spider-Man? Like, you just got him. And I'm like, that's not going to happen. There's sequels already announced.
You don't understand the power of the Infinity Gauntlet.
Like,
That still really hit, though.
I do think, I mean, it taking that whole, scene, like, a lot of them were just kind of like, oh, like, looking like, and then they fade away. I really thought the good emotional moment was with Spider-Man.
Oh,
and
yeah,
Iron Man.
without question.
I thought that part really was like, you know what?
Because they did
that's
such a great
really
job
fun.
in Homecoming of establishing their
like that
relationship.
father dynamic that I never had. And I thought that part was really done well. And it really, if all the other ones didn't really do it for you, then okay, this will put the emotional.
And it shows you, and Spider-Man, Tom Holland does a really good job in there of, he's a very ambitious kid in Homecoming, and obviously he's super ambitious in this movie, and
Dead.
he never gets the sense that he's in. He never gets the sense that he's in over his head until it actually happens, and you saw that as he was like disintegrating. Like he's like, you could sense he was just in it. Like, I never wanted this to happen. I never thought this would happen, and and he goes away.
Yeah, which I thought that was done well, but I think there's hope for them in the next segment, obviously. So I wasn't.
Well, we know.
I wasn't like sad.
Yeah, Spider-Man
Or
2 is
anything
going
like
to
that.
kick off Phase 4.
Yeah.
There's Guardians 3. There's Black Panther 2. You got to think Doctor
Exactly.
Strange is getting his
That's-
own
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
sequel.
And-
So I mean,
Well, that was the funny thing is one of my editors was mentioning before we, in the run to the weekend, he's like, how are they going to promote Spider-Man Homecoming 2 when it comes out like 2 months after Avengers 4? And Spider-Man's dead.
He's back.
How the hell do
Maybe-
you put out trailers for that,
See-
like, at Christmas?
yeah.
The cool thing about it, and obviously we talk through text, so and to share Pat's point, like one of my points was like this movie needs to end with all the heroes falling at the hands of Thanos. Like that just has to happen, and we were running up on it. Like it's like, all right, so this movie's been on for over 2 hours now, and there's a lot of people standing right now. So I'm ready to. I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt, but I'm ready to mail it in. Like I'm going to walk out here upset. And they did it a little bit unconventionally compared to how they did it in the comic, but nonetheless, just about everybody got wiped out. And as soon as that happened, I share Pat's sentiment. I was very, very happy not happy because I want them to die, but happy because they fulfilled, the dialogue of the story the way it was meant to be told.
Right.
Yeah.
Not as graphically, because I mean, in the comic, I think it was like Cyclops had a severed head, Wolverine.
Yeah,
had
that
like
would have been cool.
Yeah, like they had all kinds of shit going on in the
Instead,
comic.
it's like someone said Beetlejuice 3 times. Like,
Candyman.
they just kind of went that route.
The
you know?
genie
Like, it just
grants your
disappeared and
wish.
shit. Yeah,
You know,
it's kind of disappeared.
And I want to just jump into here. We touched on it a little bit, but what for each one of you, who was your favorite like henchman villain throughout the movie? And what would you have to say about the villains that we finally got delivered in this movie?
Favorite besides Thanos?
Yes.
Because I
so
think
take
that would
Thanos out.
probably-
His
All right.
his henchmen.
I was about to say all of our answers would probably
Let's
be.
start with
Ebony
Sean.
Maw.
Yeah, I like them. I think that he was the only one actually named in the movie. Ebony Maw. I think Thanos.
He had the most
At one point, he
personality.
says,
Maw.
"I take it the Maw has been defeated" or something like that. He's the first one to speak in the entire movie, and he has a lot of menacing remarks, and he was the only kind of mustache twirling villain that there was. But with his profoundness in doing so, like it made him more of a badass character, especially when you can see what his power set is too. Like he basically has control over anything in his environment, and he was very formidable. I mean, it was it was cool how he got taken out, but also kind of on the jokey side as well. With Peter talking about, did you ever see that old movie Aliens 2 or Aliens, and another reference like in Civil War. But we don't know if he's dead or not because we didn't see a body.
And he's a strange villain. He's a Doctor Strange villain too.
Yeah.
So who knows if he shows up in a future Strange
Right,
film.
and in the comics too, like he's gone up against Thanos for more control too. So
Right.
I mean, who's to say he couldn't show up in Avengers 4
you know
and
who
be
Maul-
on the Avengers side?
You know who Maul actually reminded me of, and this is like a
Squidward?
it's an odd reference, but he reminded me of Chronicle of Riddick, the Purifier, where he's like, "Yes, we will come for you, and your planet will be absorbed." Into like if you remember Linus Roach's character from that movie, they have
Chronicles of Riddick.
yeah.
While
Was
we're on
that
the
on
topic,
Showtime last night?
No, it's on USA at 6 o'clock.
is that better than that stupid Misha Barton movie we were watching?
Yeah, that was terrible.
While we're on the topic of the Black Order, let's just get into them. We were just talking about the Maul. Mike, I know you're a big Corvus guy. How do you think his character is portrayed?
I
think you're kind of in the middle on that. One.
You know what? So to your last question about who'd you like the most, I entered this movie. Prior to seeing this, I was really kind of like I wanted to see a lot out of him. Ultimately, walking out of the movie, Ebony Maw, to all of our consensus points, is the the overwhelming favorite. But Corvus, I thought he kind of needed to shine on his own a little bit, and not be. I like Proxima too, but
those two are married in the comics,
right? But I thought that since he was Thanos' right hand, like at the end, he's Thanos' guy, So I thought he kind of needed to kind of have a little bit of an independent role. Obviously, he's going to be attached to Proxima to some degree, but I thought he needed to be a little bit more of an independent role. Now you got 2.5 hours to fill all this up, and I like Corvus. I don't blame any of the direction in regards to his development or lack thereof. At the end of the day, you only have so much time to fill in all the spaces and fill in all the gaps.
right?
So I liked Corvus. I wanted to see more out of him, but at the end again, I didn't walk out of there disappointed. Like, what the fuck? Why did they underdevelop Corvus? I didn't walk out of there with a resounding sentiment there. At the end of the day, the Black Order as a whole, other than the big guy, Black Dwarf.
I think he's credited as Coal Obsidian in the movie. I mean, it means black something.
And they kind of they always kind of reference him as like the one that kind of does the least in the comics anyway.
See, didn't you want to see him and Hulk go at it though?
in that beginning scene, if Hulk would have actually hulked out, yeah, that would have been a nice little 2-minute segue there of just seeing a little bit
or
of
even
big guy
Wakanda.
on big guy
That would have been
action
cool too.
Yeah, I agree.
Pat, who were some of your favorite Black Order members?
I liked Maw because he came off like that dude, like that video game boss who's like level 50, and you're like level 40, and you're like, shit, why can't I beat this guy? You got to go back and level up to beat him. Like that. That's kind of what he
like
felt
Diablo
like.
2.
Yeah, that's kind of like what he felt like because like you know, here he is when he showed up on Earth. They're throwing everything they got at him, and he's just like, nah, like nothing's touching him, you know. So that's why I make that like video game boss reference, and I thought that was a nice little surprise. Like, oh, okay, these guys just aren't stupid henchmen of Thanos; they're actual formidable type villains.
Formidable.
So he kind of did it for me out of the gang there.
Formidable.
Right. Doing a 180, let's talk about some of our heroes and some of the more pressing matters that they had to go through. I mean, we got everybody in this movie. Everybody got a good amount of screen time. Michael, who are some of the more prominent members of the team that you felt had more of an impact on the story?
I honestly, going back to something I said earlier, I feel like Thor was the most improved Avenger with this movie.
Right.
I feel like they really let Chris Hemsworth sort of show off the skills that he isn't normally called to do.
Yes, little rabbit.
Yeah, sweet
Yeah,
rabbit.
the humor was great,
Sweet
but then
rabbit.
you look at him at certain parts, and it's like he's adopted a lot of the mannerisms of like Anthony Hopkins, and I guess that's kind of like, to a certain extent, that's sort of Thor becoming his dad a little bit more after his passing in Ragnarok. But I thought Thor, Rocket, and Groot was a great teaming.
Oh yeah.
And their whole quest with like Peter Dinklage and the Forge.
I mean, Groot really didn't do anything, but
Not until the end.
No.
But yeah. And then, again, just Peter, Doctor Strange. All right, Doctor Strange has been getting some serious crap thrown his way with a lot of people that I've been talking to. And I'm completely against that because he is smart enough to know that everything he's done in this film is going to lead to the win.
yeah, he had that.
Everyone's like, why did he give
the
up
future,
the time stone?
yeah, he had
It's like,
the future vision there. What did he say? There was like
There's one
in 14,605,000 odds that they were gonna win the day.
Yeah, it's like they set this character up perfectly for what he does. He's like, oh, I've only seen 1 out of 14 million ways that this is going to win. Oh, we're now in the end game. And then even in his dying words, he's like, Tony, it's the only way that this could have won.
Right.
Because
Mike,
you look at
Mike,
that-
I think I said that to you at one point too after the movie.
right.
I think he's
And-
the most underrated in the popular opinion. Whereas Star-Lord...
I agree. Yeah, like,
Screw Star-Lord for being a complete idiot and
Yeah.
screwing everything up because Gamora's dead. I'm going to hit you so you
they
wake
ruin
up.
everything. Guardians of the
Yeah.
Galaxy ruin everything.
Fucking Star-Lord can't pull the trigger and can't kill the woman.
Yeah.
Can't follow through with a plan.
You swore to me.
Yeah.
Hero.
So, like, there's got to be some other way that, buffoonery can, fuck things up other than just taking a prominent character. Well, you know what? I guess, ultimately, they deserve, Star-Lord deserves that for fucking up Guardians of the Galaxy too. So,
Yeah.
Hey, Thanos, let's dance off.
Just fly around, listen to your classic rock, and leave everyone alone.
I'm going to beat you up to the Steve Miller band,
Yeah.
bro. And then drink a Zima.
Yeah, he definitely threw a wrench into the plans of Tony, Doctor Strange, and Peter.
So,
there.
so is Tony Stark dying right now?
See,
Since he
He was healed.
He's kind of stuck.
who healed him?
yeah, he shot
Is
the
that what
free
he- is that what
spray
he
at
did?
himself that
Because the whole
apparently
thing
makes
was
you
like
not
Doctor
die.
Strange
Stuff you used to get in,
exchanged
like,
the
a
stone
soccer
to
game
keep
with
him
the
alive.
I guess I missed
You
that
give the
being at
ball.
the
Well, it
angle-
was the
angle
same.
we were
It
sitting
was the
at.
same material that he closed the ship with after they blew out Ebony Maw.
Wonder how he's
Shit.
gonna
We're
get-
using
wonder how he's gonna get back.
nanomachines.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He's the only
Just
one
chilling on Titan.
left on Titan because Peter disappeared, Doctor Strange disappeared, Drax disappeared, Manus is gone, Star-Lord's gone.
Manus sucks.
So he's left alone on Titan.
let
So
me
how
ask-
is he going to ever
Yeah,
get back to
he's
meet
just
up
chilling.
with everybody else?
Let me ask this.
Maybe,
So
Captain Marvel.
wasn't Michael Rooker on the billing for Xfinity?
There were a lot.
Infinity?
There
No,
were a
he
lot
wasn't.
of people on. Like if you look on, yeah, I'm having that battle right now.
Cable Wars.
Yeah, if you look at IMDb, there's a lot of people listed on there that are not.
IMDb is like
Yeah, they had the cuts.
For-
They had the
yeah,
cuts.
for what it's worth.
Ant-Man was
Yeah.
Ant-Man was casted in.
Yeah,
90.
he's in it.
Paul
Angela
Ruggles.
Bassett's in it. Like,
Yeah, you look at the poster, but the poster does have like a ton of names on it,
Right.
For like everyone. Like even when Peter Dinklage was on, I was like, "Who's Peter Dinklage playing? He's playing Corvus Glaive, isn't he? He's playing Ebony Maw." It's like, no,
He's playing MODOK, man.
You know,
Yeah.
speaking
We
of
thought he was gonna play. God, what the fuck is his
Pip
name
the
again?
Troll.
Pip. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Pip the Troll.
The cigar in his
Yeah.
mouth. Yeah.
Speaking of actors playing characters that you were speculating about, we got a really, really great tie-in here as Thanos and Gamora are on their search for the Soul Stone on the planet Vormir. The holder of the stone, none other than the Red Skull himself, not portrayed by Hugo Weaving. Mike, we were talking about this.
which was
It was
impressive.
uncanny, that voice.
It was
sounded just
actually
like-
Ross
Marquand.
Marquand
The guy from The Walking Dead. That
plays
blew me
Aaron
away.
on The Walking Dead.
That's
He's a
absolutely
hell of an impression.
That blew me away after I saw him. Like, who the hell played
Have you
Red
ever
Skull?
heard him do
Yes.
different impressions? Oh, like
Yes.
his
And-
Jack Nicholson is spot on. Like he does a really
Ewan
good
McGregor
impression.
is fantastic too.
But yeah, we got the Red Skull. It's a really, really nice tie-in to the first Avenger. We've all been asking, where did he get teleported to? Where has he been all this time? So
Teleportation.
his role, how he's able to phase in and out of existence. I mean, I guess that's tied into what the Soul Stone is able to do. So it's his arc really isn't explained too much, but just seeing him back on screen again was such a really nice payoff for when did that movie come out? 2010.
11.
11.
Yeah.
So it was something you've been waiting 7 years to see. Bill, how did you feel when you first saw his face pop up out of that cloak?
Like hell yeah, yeah,
Damn time.
yeah. Felt like James Hetfield was right there next to me. Yeah.
Well, you know what happened in the
Red
theater?
Skull, yeah.
We had this. we had this for like 5 minutes. Yeah. We had that guy. That guy sucked.
Yeah, really, really great payoff and they tied so many different movies in together in this movie. That was just something really above and beyond that. I mean, if it wasn't in there, it wouldn't have made much of a difference, but that was like pure fan service.
Now that the
we all really
world is
appreciated.
ending, I'm not gonna stand here and wait.
You're stuck on that.
Chad
Did-
Kroger, where are
Somebody
you?
get
at
a
a moment of
Spider-Man
need?
2 soundtrack.
Did you just
stat.
want Spider-Man to be swinging in and you hear Chad Kroger? Not gonna stand here and wait. With the Twin Towers glistening in the background. What do you mean, ooh?
Well, they were edited out.
What do you mean, ooh? I'm pretty sure I made a 9/11 joke the last time subliminally, and you oohed and awed at it.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think so. Listen, man, America's gonna put a bigger and better tower up, all right? It's gonna be called the Stark Tower, all right?
Well, they have the Freedom Tower.
so cool.
Yeah, I know.
They have an actual tower.
That's the
there.
ultimate Disney move. It's like, we're going to build the Avengers Tower in New York.
Right on ground
How hard
zero.
we are!
Sean, what do you got next?
Moving along.
Yeah, so let's aside from the characters and the plots, let's get into some of the interconnective tissue of this movie, the inner
Like
workings.
The tendons.
Yeah.
Viz.
So some of our, probably most of our dislikes of this movie would have been with the usage of humor, which in this movie I didn't feel was too bad compared to Guardians 2, compared to Thor Ragnarok.
Right.
Yeah, when you're
wasn't.
talking about the humorous moments, it chiefly comes with Drax and the rest of the Guardians.
Comes with the idiots. Yeah.
Yeah,
Correct.
Pat, I know you have a lot to say on this. Just go ahead.
I agree with you to a point. Like, yes, it wasn't overblown. Like, thank God, like Cap wasn't sitting there joking about something and everyone else. Just like, I don't know. I mean, the stakes are high, and even with parts of the Guardians of the Galaxy, like they just saw what happened. Like they, just picked up basically a body in space, and it's like here's like Drax standing there eating chips, like not understanding.
Well,
like
like Mike
the
here?
What do you call it? Like Zerg nuts or something?
Yeah, like it's a
I've been
little,
standing here for an hour.
It's a little unnecessary. I don't blame the directors for that. I think that comes from the studio. Yeah, F off Drax.
I gotta.
Drax.
Well, he's a completely irrelevant character, so they have to make him shine with those types of moments where it's completely awkward humor. That's the only arc they have for him.
Yeah, I mean, which is I think a tragedy of the character. The guy called Drax the Destroyer. He's Drax the doofus. He's just. I mean, I don't know. I think there's a time and a place for everything, and that type of humor in this movie obviously wasn't the time and place.
Well, true.
But thankfully it wasn't like Thor Ragnarok. You know what I mean?
Right, and they thank God they got away from that with Thor just cracking jokes at Surtur or whatever case may. Like the Thor, and we were just talking about this outside the studio. Thor is at his best and his most humorous when it actually makes sense. Where he's unaware of his surroundings because he's an Asgardian, and he's misunderstanding the person in front of him, that what they're saying, what they're doing, and ultimately he makes a one-liner that acts like, well, I don't understand that, and I'm way better than that. I'm above and beyond that because I'm from Asgard. And that the way they write that is funny, not the stupid bullshit you see in Thor Ragnarok.
Like Thor Ragnarok was a straight up spoof.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
All right, so the ending of the film, the post-credit scene, we got Nick Fury, Maria Hill, people start disappearing back on Earth.
Heads are falling off.
Hill goes, and then as Fury starts to go too, he sends a distress signal over a beeper.
It was a beeper. I had that same
over a beeper, and it goes to Carol Danvers herself, Captain Marvel.
It would have been funny if you put 143 in it instead of
It would have been funny if it was boobs. But we know that we're getting Captain Marvel in March of next year, which it's going to be set in the 90s as a prequel movie, but I'm sure by the end of that in the post-credit scene, it'll be moved forward into current time. How she ties into current time, where is she out in space somewhere, wherever she is, she's pretty much going to be the saving grace of the current predicament the Avengers find themselves in.
I think that's going to we know that the movie's going to take place in the 90s, and
I actually saw a screenshot earlier of her and a young Nick Fury. He's got a full head of hair.
Well, yeah,
I'll have to find it after the show.
So it's like a Jerry curl,
like Jules, like Jules Winfield from Pulp Fiction.
That's awesome.
It's a shorter cropped, but he's got a full head of hair.
So I mean, the backdrop for that is that
Path of the Righteous Man.
Nick Fury was on a behind the scenes like covert team, and knows Carol Danvers through that. But I think the pager, and knowing that it's
tied into the time,
right? So I think that means is that Nick Fury knows about Captain Marvel, about her powers and everything like that, and the beeper obviously I think probably hasn't been touched since the 90s. Thus, it's very pixelated and dated. Con structure, but I think he was probably holding on to this for the time when it needed to be used the most, and she's out there protecting other worlds, and
I hope she's with Nova or something, or we get like a lead into him at some point with her in the fold now, but that might be too much to ask for at this point.
Yeah, they've been very on again, off again with whether they're going to bring in Nova. So
I think after the destruction of Xandar, you have to,
just like Adam Warlock,
without question.
Yeah.
So
Mike, real quick, Adam Warlock, what do you have to say?
Yeah, so I hated the end credit scene. I couldn't stand it. Because the end credit.
Did you like the movie?
No, Sean knows exactly why I hated the end credit scene. So the end credit scene, that's what you should have had.
Agreed.
Okay. Yeah. So in the comic, all the heroes fall to Thanos. All of them, not just there weren't 7 standing. They all fell. They did it with a few of them standing. Fine, I'm cool with that. Whatever. But what ends up happening is you have Surfer and Warlock from afar strategizing on when they're going to make their move and remove the gauntlet from Thanos' hand, from his arm, and use it to use the time gem to bring the heroes back. So obviously that's probably going to come into play at some point, right? Because we know our heroes aren't going to be dead forever. But I guess what I'm griping about is, why does Nick Fury have to send a page to Ms. Marvel? 2, why couldn't you see a little bit of Adam Warlock? 3,
because you're not going to get him to Guardians 3.
Because they're
but how do you can't tell the rest of the story without Adam Warlock because
when they show him, it's not going to make sense.
They want to use him for jokes.
And if Miss Marvel is going to assume the role of Surfer in the comic, then I have a problem with that too. So I had a lot of problems with the end credit scene. I'm a little concerned about where the next movie's headed. I trust the Russos and the story, but like I said, the end credit scene didn't leave me sitting well. I love the movie, I just didn't love the end credit scene. I have a lot of trepidation of where this is headed.
All right. Well, that is going to bring us to the conclusion of our review. We literally could sit here for the next, couple hours the rest of the night and talk about the ins and outs of this movie, but we're not allowed to because somebody over there. But you know what?
Go ahead. Just say it.
All right, it's
my
fucking
fault.
Jamie's fault.
My fault.
Yeah, it's Jamie's fault.
My apologies. I have plans for later this afternoon. Come
way
on.
to go. Way to have a life, Jamie. You're going to go see this movie after this review is what you should be doing.
All of you should be seeing this movie again.
See it
I
again,
may just go do that.
and see it a third time.
Read all of the think pieces.
But what we want you guys to do is, not only discuss it amongst yourselves, your friends, your movie going group, but also, get on our social media and discuss it with us. We want to hear your thoughts. We want to hear your comments. Where do you think the future of the MCU is going? Ant-Man and the Wasp in July, Captain Marvel next year in March, Avengers 4, and then we really don't know after that. We know there's a Spider-Man 2. We know there's Guardians 3. We know there's Black Panther 2. We know the Fox Marvel deal is going to be going through sometime next year. How will those characters be brought into the universe? Is it going to be during Avengers and 4? Yeah, we just don't know. So, find us on Facebook, find us on Twitter. Start the discussion, get going with us, and
don't clap every 10 minutes when you see this movie.
Yeah, if you're in the theater, be a fucking human being.
Be excited, but
know
contain
how
your
to behave
excitement,
yourself.
like, for the love of God.
And don't use your phone either.
Yeah, that's Mike.
Yeah,
Mike got yelled at during Black
Don't
Panther.
breathe.
Who yelled at you?
The chick sit next.
The guy, no, the big dude sitting next to me. He's like, "Dude, really?" And it was like the opening credits, and I was like,
"Good, I would too."
Checking a quick text message. I had my phone down. Guy's like, "Really?" I'm like, oh, "Fuck, my bad, dude."
Yeah, Mike's probably like, "Yeah, what?
You're chewing your fucking popcorn too loud."
I'm watching this movie.
How about I complain about that?
All right, yeah, make sure you go out and see it again, see it a third time, get back to us, and let us know your thoughts on the movie. For myself, Sean Harrigan, for Bill Tozzi, Mike Chrisman, Pat Mahoney,
Champs.
and Michael Reyes, we will see you guys again in 1 week from today as Mike Chrisman defends his Cinescape Trivia Championship singles belt against Stephen Ruck, the current #1 contender. For everybody here,
This is the right time to clap.
absolutely, now is a clappable moment. Thank you guys for checking out our review, and we will see you guys again next weekend.